Chosen one, pause for a moment and breathe, because what you've stepped into right now is not ordinary. It is not coincidence, nor the result of wandering across the vast sea of voices online. No, your spirit was guided here by a divine hand that has been preparing this exact moment, long before you realized you needed it. The heavens knew when your heart would be ready, when your ears would be open, and when your soul would whisper, "Lord, speak to me." And now he is speaking, not lightly, not casually, but with the weight of destiny pressing against your spirit, because this is a revelation that will alter how you see yourself forever. God is unveiling the version of you that has been hidden beneath years of pain, doubt, confusion, and survival. A version so transformed, so elevated, so marked by his hand, that even you will look in the mirror and say, "Who is this person I'm becoming?" For so long you've carried the image of who you once were, burdened by mistakes that haunted you, fears that whispered limitations, and scars that you learned to hide from the world. You became familiar with the weaker version of yourself, the one shaped by disappointment and betrayal. But heaven has never been limited to the reflection that stares back at you. Heaven sees the blueprint. Heaven sees the finished work. Heaven sees the warrior rising, not the wounded child trembling. And right now, God is revealing that the identity you've been clinging to is only a shadow of the one he fashioned out before time itself began. Think of Saul becoming Paul, not because he perfected himself, but because God interrupted his story and rewrote everything. Think of Joseph, thrown into a pit by the very people who should have protected him, yet rising to a position where nations depended on his wisdom. Think of Peter, impulsive and afraid, denying Christ in a moment of weakness, yet becoming the apostle whose shadow carried healing. These stories are not coincidences. They are divine patterns, showing that God delights in transforming the least expected individuals into his greatest instruments. Transformation rarely looks logical from the outside. It rarely feels smooth on the inside, but it is always heaven orchestrated. And this is why God brought you here, to show you that the version of yourself shaped by your past is not the version he is unveiling. You've glimpsed your flaws more clearly than your calling. You've rehearsed your failures more than you've spoken your faith. You've allowed the way of your yesterday to blind you to the glory of your tomorrow. But God says, "Child, you have only seen the seed, not the harvest. You have only witnessed the beginning, not the masterpiece. What I have written for you will make even you marvel." There are moments when you question if transformation is still possible for you. You've wondered if too much time has passed, if too many mistakes have accumulated, if the world has already categorized you and left little room for divine interruption. But heaven is not bound by human timelines. Heaven does not consult your failures to decide your future. Heaven speaks identity before it manifests, and then patiently waits for you to grow into the prophecy. Chosen one, you are approaching a season where God will unveil gifts you didn't know you carried, strength you didn't know you possessed, and authority you never imagined you could walk in. The limitations you once believed about yourself are about to crumble beneath the revelation of who you are becoming. God has been shaping you quietly, refining you through challenges, molding you through pressure, and preparing you through silence. The person emerging from this divine process will look nothing like the one who entered it. And so I tell you, with the full weight of heaven's urgency, stay with me. Don't rush away from this word. Don't shrink back. Destiny is unfolding, and God is whispering your true identity into the depths of your spirit. What he is forming is glorious, unstoppable, and divinely intentional. The unveiling has begun, and the world has no idea who is about to rise. Chosen one, many people live their entire lives believing that what they currently see is all there is to them. They stare into a mirror and assume that their reflection is the limit of their identity, the sum of their potential, the boundary of their destiny. But heaven sees deeper, far deeper, because God does not look at you through the lens of where you are, but through the lens of what He ordained before the foundation of the world. You may see a struggle, a flaw, or an unfinished task, but God sees a spiritual DNA that holds miracles, assignments, nations, and testimonies waiting for their appointed time to manifest. What you see now is only the seed. What heaven sees is the harvest already written into your future. Think of the seed buried underground. To the untrained eye, it appears dismissed, forgotten, lifeless. Its potential is hidden beneath darkness and silence. And yet inside that small, ordinary shell beats the blueprint of a tree that may one day shelter generations. The soil does not suffocate the seed, it activates it. The pressure, the darkness, the waiting, the quiet, all of it awakens what God placed within. This is why your life has had seasons that felt buried. It wasn't that God abandoned you. He was planting you. He was allowing you to be hidden long enough for the roots of your identity to grow deep, strong, and unshakable. What others called your grave, God called your greenhouse. The same is true in the transformation of a caterpillar. It enters the cocoon not to die, but to be redesigned. Inside that fragile shell, something extraordinary happens. It dissolves. Every familiar part of itself breaks down so a new creation can form. And beloved, many of your darkest seasons were cocoon seasons, moments when you felt isolated, pressed, or unsure, not realizing that God was stripping away the old structures to make room for wings you hadn't imagined. What felt like loss was actually construction. What felt like silence was strategy. What felt like delay was divine timing working with perfect precision. The Bible confirms this divine mystery in 1 John 3:2. It has not yet been revealed what we shall be. This means that your current reflection is not your completed identity. Heaven already sees the version of you that has authority, clarity, and spiritual strength. Heaven already sees the one who speaks with confidence, walks with purpose, and carries a mantle of influence. And when God reveals that person, when He unveils what He planted inside you, every lie you believed about yourself will break under the warm weight of truth. Consider how many gifts, callings, and ideas have been hidden inside you, sometimes buried beneath pain, sometimes overshadowed by fear, sometimes silenced by doubt. But pain is not prophecy. Fear is not your identity. The trials you endured were not signals of abandonment, but signs of preparation. The enemy tried to bury your gifts, but God was busy protecting them. Even in moments when you assumed nothing was happening, heaven was shaping your character, fortifying your spirit, sharpening your discernment, and teaching you to hear His voice above the noise of the world. And perhaps the hardest part of God's process is the silence. There are seasons when your prayers feel unanswered, your efforts unnoticed, your obedience unseen. Yet heaven is working in secret. Because what God builds in private, He reveals in power. He hides His chosen ones not to punish them, but to protect what He is forming. Before He displays glory, He strengthens foundations. Before He sends you to nations, He anchors your soul. Before He unveils you, He prepares you to carry the weight of what is coming. Chosen one, do not despise the season where nothing seems to move. Do not misinterpret the quiet as abandonment. You are not stuck. You are being shaped. You are not overlooked. You are being cultivated. The pressure you feel is the evidence of growth. The stillness you sense is the preparation before acceleration. The pieces of your life that felt like they were falling apart were often the very pieces God was rearranging to build something far greater than you imagined. You are in the hands of a deliberate God, a master builder who never wastes a moment, a tear, or a trial. And soon, what has been hidden will begin to surface. The seed is stirring. The wings are forming. The identity He wrote into your spirit is rising. You are not finished. God is unfolding you. Chosen one, there comes a sacred moment in every divine process when what God has been forming in the hidden places begins to break through the surface. It doesn't happen with a loud announcement. It doesn't come with a flashing sign. It begins as a shift, quiet but undeniable, subtle but powerful. Something inside you starts to feel different. Old fears lose their grip. Old wounds no longer dictate your steps. Old limitations begin to fall off like dust from a life you no longer belong to. This is the moment when heaven whispers, it's time. Time for the identity formed through fire to rise. Time for the version of you shaped in darkness to step into the light. Time for the new creation to emerge. What once broke you will now build you. The betrayal that shattered you is becoming the very testimony that strengthens your voice. The insecurity that held you hostage is turning into spiritual confidence you never imagined possible. The nights you cried yourself to sleep have become the foundation of compassion that will heal others. God has been weaving every struggle into the fabric of the person you are becoming. And now the tapestry of your identity is starting to reveal its colors. You are not a polished version of your old self. You are a new creation altogether, molded by divine hands and kept by divine purpose. Think of Joseph once more. When his brothers encountered him years later, standing in authority, holding wisdom that could save nations, they didn't recognize him. They couldn't. Too much transformation had taken place. The boy they threw into the pit no longer existed. In his place stood a man crowned by destiny. In many ways, that is what God is doing with you. The people who once dismissed you, underestimated you, or spoke against you will not recognize the person you are becoming. But more importantly, even you will look at yourself and marvel at the strength, clarity, faith, and authority that now pour out of you. You are stepping into a season where heaven's fingerprints on your life will be impossible to hide. And think of Gideon. When the angel of the Lord called him mighty warrior, Gideon couldn't accept it. He looked at his weaknesses, his insecurities, his family's insignificance, and concluded that he was the least qualified. But heaven wasn't speaking to the man Gideon believed himself to be. Heaven was speaking to the champion God had already formed in the spirit. That same tension lives inside you. The battle between who you think you are and who God has always known you to be. But now, chosen one, you are entering the moment when that tension resolves. Heaven's identity for you is overtaking the identity that trauma tried to impose on you. This is why the shift feels so intense. It's why old desires no longer satisfy you. It's why certain relationships no longer align with your spirit. It's why your soul feels restless for more purpose, more clarity, more of God. You are outgrowing the space that once confined you. What used to intimidate you will soon seem small. The places where you once begged for validation will become the places where you now bring transformation. The voice that once trembled will soon speak with an authority that surprises even you. God is not elevating you for applause. He is elevating you for assignment. And make no mistake, this elevation is not accidental. It is intentional and timed by heaven itself. You are stepping into rooms you once felt unworthy of, not because of human approval, but because God is endorsing the version of you He has been forming all along. Doors long shut are about to open not through striving, but through divine appointment. You will begin to notice wisdom flowing more freely, revelation arriving more quickly, and spiritual confidence rising more naturally. These are not signs of arrogance, they are signs of alignment. You are aligning with heaven's identity for you, and heaven always reveals what it has refined. Chosen one, you are standing at the threshold of emergence. The cocoon is opening. The wings are strengthening. The fire that once broke you has now forged you, and the world is about to witness what heaven has been crafting in secret. Prepare yourself. Your transformation will be so complete, so radiant, that even you will barely recognize the person you have become. But heaven will say, "This is who you were always meant to be." Chosen one, now we come to the moment heaven has been preparing you for, the unveiling. The moment when the version of you that God has been shaping in silence steps forward with a radiance that cannot be denied. And hear this with your spirit. Heaven has never been confused about who you truly are. Before the heartbreak, before the betrayal, before the delay, before the nights you questioned your worth, God saw you. He saw the warrior when everyone else saw the weakness. He saw the mantle when others saw the mess. He saw destiny when others saw disappointment. You may feel shocked by who you are becoming, but heaven has recognized that version of you from the beginning. There is a breaking happening in the spirit. Every lie you once believed about yourself is losing its power. Every limitation that wrapped around your mind is dissolving under the weight of God's truth. Every ceiling that once contained your growth is shattering as the Spirit breathes fresh authority into your identity. You are not entering a season of small survival. You are entering a season of divine expansion. The world is about to see what heaven saw all along. And when you step into that new identity, don't you dare shrink back. Don't apologize for the power God placed in you. Don't run from the visibility He is giving you. This is not pride. This is prophecy fulfilled. The chains of fear are breaking. The spirit of hesitation is leaving. The doubt that once clouded your thinking is evaporating in the fire of God's presence. The version of you rising now walks with holy clarity, confident not because of who you are, but because of who lives within you. You will notice the difference. You will speak, and authority will follow. You will pray, and atmospheres will shift. You will walk into rooms, and the spiritual weight upon your life will turn heads, not because of appearance, but because of anointing. You are stepping into a realm where the supernatural becomes natural, where boldness becomes instinct, where purpose becomes your posture. The unveiling will not be subtle. It will not be quiet. When God lifts the veil, everything changes. Opportunities that were once locked will open with divine ease. Relationships aligned with your destiny will begin to appear. Ideas will flow into your spirit like streams of wisdom. Strength will rise where weakness once lived. Favor will surround you like a shield. You will begin to understand why God hid you, why he allowed certain doors to stay closed, why he separated you from people you once relied on. He needed you to be shaped, purified, strengthened, and sharpened before the unveiling. And chosen one, this is your rise. Not in pride, not in ego, but in obedience. God didn't anoint you to blend in. He anointed you to stand out, to be a light in dark places, a voice in silent rooms, a signpost for those searching for God. You are not stepping into visibility to gain attention. You are stepping into it to reveal His glory. The world needs the version of you God has been forming in fire. There are people waiting for your testimony, your wisdom, your boldness, your compassion, your voice. What God placed in you is not for decoration, it is for impact. As you rise, remember this: the transformation you are experiencing is not new to God. It is only new to you. He wrote this chapter before you took your first breath. He mapped out your transformation before your first heartbreak. He secured your identity long before your first failure. You are walking into what He always intended. And every step you take from here on, take it with holy confidence, knowing heaven is cheering, hell is trembling, and destiny is unfolding. Chosen one, if this word has stirred something deep within your spirit, hold on to it. Let it anchor you in days of doubt and carry you in days of strength. And as you feel your spirit rise, I invite you, like this message, as a declaration of faith. Subscribe so you never miss a word heaven sends your way. Comment your nation below so this remnant can unite across the world. Let your engagement be an act of agreement, a step into the identity God is unveiling. Because your becoming has begun, your unveiling is here. And the world is about to witness the glory God has written into your life from the very beginning.